In today's review, we're going to take a look at the R818 flashlight multi-tool. We're going to break some glass, cut a belt, whittle a chopstick, screw some screws, open a can of clam chowder, open some beverages, cut some loose threads with the scissors, check the brakes, and inspect the undercarriage of the car. So let's take a close look at all these features and see how they work. This thing's pretty amazing. It's only $8.10 and it comes with a glass break, seatbelt cutter, multi-tools, and the zoomable flashlight. It's not the most powerful flashlight, but when you have it in and around your car, it's going to be very handy. It takes 3 AAA batteries, and I recommend putting in nickel metal hydride batteries only, rechargeable batteries. Do not put in alkaline batteries, because if you put alkaline batteries in, they might leak and destroy the flashlight. So use nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries only. Then you can store it in your car, you can just throw it in there, you don't have to worry about it, and you're good to go. Once you have the batteries in there, the arrow points upwards towards the LED, that's positive. Screw that in, and now you've got your high, low, and strobe. You can also just half press to switch modes. You don't have to press fully. You can use it in strobe, and it has this nice red 360-degree viewable ring. So if you use this as a bike light, people can see you coming from a mile away. You can use it with a mount like this, and you can mount it onto your bike very easily. Check the links in the description, you'll find this light and this bicycle flashlight mount. You just clamp that sucker down, and that thing will not move. It's really nice and tight in there. You can ride around on your bike with it, set it to strobe mode, and people can see you. Now let's take a look at the 2 major features of it. The glass break and the seatbelt cutter. As everyone knows, Gorilla Glass comes on iPhones, and let's see if it'll break that Gorilla Glass. If it's a nice sharp tip, it's going to break that glass with a nice tap. So the Gorilla Glass is pretty strong, but a nice swift smack with this will break any glass, because this is a nice sharp tip and all it takes is the high pressure point right there to break glass. So this will break through any glass window, no problem. As soon as you pierce the tempered glass window, the entire window will shatter and you'll be out of your car in no time flat. Alright, so I don't have a real seatbelt for you, but I've got this tensioner, which basically is seatbelt material in my mind. It's a little thicker than a seatbelt, but should function in the same way. So let's test out the seatbelt cutter. If this was at more of an angle, you can get it caught and start slicing it, but since it's not at a good angle, it's not going to cut through this stuff. You better be careful, but if you need to cut someone out, you could probably just use the knife. The knife is pretty sharp, so it can do that. So on high, it gives us 10 lux, and on low, it gives us 2 lux, and then it just strobes after that. So in comparison to the other lights I've tested, it's not the greatest flashlight, but 10 lux is still pretty useful. You can still use it around your car. You can see around your tires and underneath your engine bay. Use it to check your fluid levels. It's still pretty good. It's not a super wide distribution, but it's a nice flood, and then if you need it to be a spot, it can also be a spot as well. But most of the time you're going to just use it with a distribution like that. That's a fine utility light right there. So one day I was just checking my tires, and sure enough, there was a nail sticking out right from the corner here. So it's important to check your tires. And here's a quick tip. If you've got a puncture close to the corner sidewall, they're not going to repair it for you. They're going to say you need a new tire. But that's completely false, because the integrity of the tire is not compromised when you just have a little hole in it. If you go to some shops, they'll actually go and repair that for you. And what they've got is a plug that's got vulcanizing agent on the outside. And when they push that in, it's going to vulcanize with your rubber, and it's going to make a good seal. You're not going to compromise the integrity of the tire at all, and your tire is going to work fine. So with this flashlight, you can easily zoom it in. So with it zoomed in, you can easily see that I have 50% left on my brake pads on the front. Then you can go to the back and check it out. It's good to have a nice flashlight in your car, because you never know when you got to check your tires for nails. You should do that periodically. And I found 1 or 2 nails just by surprise, just because I went to check my tires. You can use the flashlight to check your brake fluid. Obviously that one's way below max, so you'll want to top that off. As the brake pads wear, this is going to decrease, so you got to add fluid as you use up your brake pads. So there's a lot of different reasons to have a flashlight in your car. I definitely recommend it, and I wouldn't leave home without it. So overall, for $8, this thing functions very well. The can opening features, so you can open a can if you need to. Oh yeah, it's right here. So it's a small can opener, but it does the trick. And then it automatically turns it up for you. The knife is pretty sharp. It can cut a 2-ton strap, no problem. Just slice right through it. So this is a flathead that doubles as a phillips screwdriver, and it comes with a 6mm and a 7mm hex driver. It comes with a small phillips screwdriver, so if there's a screw coming loose or you want to remove this driver, you can easily unscrew that. The can opener is great because if you get stuck at work and nobody has a can opener, you can just go to your car, grab it out of your glove box, open a can of soup. Otherwise, there's no way you can get into that can of soup. So this thing saves the day if you leave this in the glove box of your car. And then at the end of the day, you can use your bottle opener and enjoy a nice beverage. Now, let's take a look at the knife. Is this knife sharp? Let's take a look. So it's not a razor blade, but I think it's more of a rough angle, so you can use it to cut stuff, but it's not going to act like a super sharp X-Acto knife. But it definitely can get the job done. Here's a Victorinox that costs about 10 times the price, and it's not even that sharp either. It's a little sharper obviously, but you can still go ahead and sharpen this knife with a stone and make it nice and sharp. So you can just get the stone wet and do it as per this guy's instructions. So he's pulling it straight down and then pulling it off. So obviously do it wet, don't do it dry like that, and then this thing will be a razor blade. It recommends you hold it at 20 to 30 degrees. The larger the angle, the tougher the edge. I like a shallow angle, so that's very sharp, but it won't last as long and won't stay as sharp as long. These tools are all made of stainless steel, and they feel like they're nice high quality. They got a nice polish to them, and they don't seem to be rusting. So this is a pretty good quality tool. The flashlight feels nice and sturdy for a plastic flashlight, and I don't mind using this as a glove box flashlight, and it'll definitely come in handy around the car. There's a nice pair of scissors, and scissors are always handy. You might have to cut a thread off a dress shirt. If you can cut a nice strip out of paper towel, that means it's a pretty sharp pair of scissors. This is a sharp pair of scissors, so be careful with it. So I hope that shows you what this thing can do. If you want to purchase it, click on the link in the description. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching. So if you got a bunch of 100-watt chips and you're going to glue it onto a nice copper heat pipe CPU cooler to create a 200-watt video light, then you'll want to mix up some JB weld to glue that on, because that has great thermal conductivity and adhesion. And you'll want to make a nice mixing tool for that. Let's see if this knife is sharp enough to whittle this down into a nice mixing tool. Alright, so after a lot of persuasion, we've got ourselves a nice mixing tool for this 2-part epoxy. This is really good epoxy. If you need something that's good, definitely get this JB weld. It's like a cold weld, they call it, because it's got metal reinforcement, and that's what makes it transfer the heat to this copper heat sink really well. If 100 watts is not enough for you, then you gotta make that 200-watt video light.